YouTube family, this is Mika Coleman again with tax deed and overages, and today I'm going to talk about the 3 most important things you should know about tax deeds in 2024. Number 1, I feel you should always go look at the property, and if you're out of state, do a Google search. It does say at the bottom when they last took the picture. However, if you know someone in that state or have a friend in that state, I always say it's better to have physical eyes on the property. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was living in California, I was looking to invest in Texas because, as you guys probably know, I feel like Texas is one of the best places to buy tax deeds, only because of the redemption return on your investment, meaning like I believe it's like 25% if the person comes back, although people never come back, especially the deceased ones. I have yet seen someone come back from the dead, so I've been lucky with that. However, I'm saying that all to say that it's really important because I was in California and I think the minimum bid was like 10 grand. Don't quote me on that. It was something really ridiculous. But when I pulled up the picture, it had like 2 apartment buildings, and I was like, whoa, like for 10 grand. Now, of course, that was the opening bid, but I was like, even at 100 or 200,000 coming from California for a commercial property was worth the drive, the flight, everything. So I get here all excited. I already have my investors in place to buy this. I believe it was an 8-unit building, and I already had ran my numbers, and I wanted to see what the fix-up cost would be. But I was like, I really probably need to go see it. And so I, book a flight, come to Texas, all ready to see this, 2 buildings, technically commercial property. And I'm like, this is a winner chicken dinner, So I, drive here, get a rental car, do all of that, go to the place to find out, guess what, guys? Oh, by the way, I did Google search it. And I think the picture was like 5 years old, because you can't see that when you type it in Google. You can see when they last took the picture. And so I was like, 5 years, that's not that bad. I get all the way to Texas, you guys, all the way to Texas, and guess what? No buildings, none. So the number 1 thing I would suggest is always go look at the property. If you are unable to do that, have someone or hire someone. I even think Tax Sale Results do that. That's also a platform that I work with closely, where they give you all the tax deed auctions. That link will also be down in the description. So if you want to know about it, you can. I do know it costs, I can't remember, I think I pay like $50 a month for it. It is a really good resource. But the second thing, oh, by the way, stay tuned because the third one is going to shock you. But the second thing you really need to know is you have to know the title, like what kind of title you're going to get. What I'm learning and discovering that every county or every state doesn't give you a warranty deed, and most of them don't. Some of them require you, especially some counties in Florida, they do require you to get the title cleared, which is an additional fee. So you do want to put that into your numbers if you're going to be purchasing tax deed properties that will require you to clear the title. And what that really means is clearing all encumbrances, because sometimes when you're buying tax deeds, it will clear the tax lien, but sometimes it will not clear the demolition, or it may not clear, for them mowing the lawn. In Oklahoma, one of the big things is I guess people would have their medical attached to their property. So Oklahoma wasn't messing with that. If you buy that property, you got to pay that, and they don't clear it. So there are a lot of things that you should know, but number 1, always go look at it to see even if it's worth, the investment, the taking the flight, to running your numbers. You want to see if a property is physically there. Dirt is still good. You still want to, I tell my newbies, dirt's the best thing to buy, because you don't have to worry about financing. You don't have to worry about inspections. It's dirt, and you would sell it on basically the potential of someone building a house and what is the actual value of building a house on dirt. You just got to know what you can build on a certain square footage of a lot. I had to learn all that, you guys. It's a journey. I talked about that in one of my other videos. It's all a journey. My first one that I had purchased in Texas was a piece of land, and that was like the best experience ever because it was one of the easiest transactions I've done in my entire real estate career. And I'm not lying, like my entire real estate career, that was like one of the best, easiest, simple transactions, and I quadrupled my money. And that's why I do this, is because it's my passion. I love, love, love tax deeds and overages, and I'm going back into tax deeds because lately, as people start losing their jobs and unfortunately things happen, more properties are going to sell. And so that is an advantage for people that do have an extra cash to buy properties. And the third thing that's probably going to shock you is you must know your exit strategy. And I think a lot of investors getting into real estate, they forget about how they should invest and what type of numbers they should utilize and when they're purchasing their property. Because like me, when I'm buying properties, I mostly wholesale everything. So I'm trying to buy everything super cheap so that I can sell to an investor. Why? Because I speak their language. And if I buy right, there's enough meat on the bone for the investor to make their money. And what I mean by that is number 3 is the most important, because the way I bid on properties is probably not going to be the same for the person that's going to buy and hold. Why? Because they're looking for the long-term investment. There are people out there that are looking for tax strategies and tax write-offs. So like you could buy a piece of property, like I have a property that I don't really do anything with because it's a tax write-off. It's like, why do I need to do anything? It's a tax write-off. That's one thing I can bet on writing off on my taxes. Then some people are looking for rental income. So it's really important when you're going after tax deeds is, number 1, don't forget to look at the property physically. Set eyes on it. Whether you or a friend or a cousin, sister, brother, gotta have somebody go look at the property, because you don't want to buy like a cesspool, or I don't know. I'll never forget, I was at this auction and this man was crying because he brought I forget what you call that, where it's like it was a lake, but it was in the middle of somewhere where he couldn't even access it. So like literally he lost his money. Like he didn't do his research. So you definitely want to do your research. That's number 1. You want to know what it looks like. Number 2, you want to know what type of title you're getting. Every county and state is different. Sometimes people will give you a clear title, sometimes people won't. So that's number 2 that you should know about tax deeds before you invest, before you even spend your time going to auction. Call the county and ask them, what kind of title do you issue at a tax deed auction? Because that's going to be imperative on what you do next with your exit strategy, which leads me to number 3, is your exit strategy. Your exit strategy is by far the most important, because you don't want to overbid a property if it isn't sufficient to your exit strategy. So like, for example, if I'm buying a property and let's just say I know it's $50,000, it's worth $50,000, and the minimum bid, let's just say, because this is possible, the minimum bid is $100. Well, I know between $100,000 and $50,000, I have a lot of room. So what's going to be my max? Most of the time, investors, they do 70% ARV, which means whatever the actual retail value, they mark it down 70% plus the fix up. But let's just say for $50,000, you're getting a lot. And that's how much it's worth in retail. Well, first of all, I don't have to worry about fix-up costs, but at 70%, dang, I did not know my math. Let's see. I don't know what 70% of 50,000 is. But let's just say it is, oh my God, I should know that. I don't know that off the top of my head. But anyway, let's just use a first, give me a second. I know this answer. So 70% of 50,000 is 35,000. So like I was saying, if the exit strategy, if I am going to wholesale to an investor, technically it doesn't really apply, but just for investor sake, mostly investors do 70% of ARV, which would be 35,000. And like, let's say if it was a house, you would have to do it a little bit lower because you would have to include fix up. But because it's dirt, you can actually do it at 35. But because it's dirt also too, if you could build a house for like $350,000 on the lot, you could probably sell the lot for $50,000 depending on the cost per square foot. Anyway, that's a little bit too into detail. What I wanted you to get from this video is number 3 is your most important in regards to exit strategy, because if you're wholesaling it, you want the number to be 70% and less than the ARV. But if you're like going to be doing a rental, you can go up a little bit higher. So my max price would not be $35,000. It could go up a little bit more because I'm looking for a long-term investment as opposed to a short-term investment. However, everybody knows I do wholesale. Lately I've been doing a lot of wholesale different deals, but what I really wanted you to get from this video is that there are 3 things you should know about tax deeds. Number 1, definitely go look at the property. Number 2, understand what type of title you are going to get once you purchase it. And number 3, always calculate your numbers based on your exit strategy. I hope this video was helpful. Happy investing and talk to you soon.
That's all, folks.